I have to apologize. I don't know. I thought I was choosing my best bet for reception, but I don't have a good connection today on this darn thing. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna turn my phone off. Maybe it's
Stealing juice.
getting in the way. Yeah,
It's a cloud.
maybe that will help. Oh, here comes Melanie.
And then we should start. Right?
Yeah, here's Melanie.
Oh,
Hey,
wow, what a nice group we have today.
I know. I thought this is so incredible. We have all these people who who really know a lot about this stuff. And I have no idea what our conversation is going to be. So it's terrific. I have a proposal, if you will indulge me. I have a knowing this group, I felt like it would be okay if we did just a very, very brief sort of centering moment together. And then we can do a little some other stuff. So this is really big issues that we can talk about. And I think if we have the opportunity to sort of let ourselves just be with ourselves for a moment, it would help our conversation. So I will, this is basically a 3 deep breath meditation.
Great.
So with your first breath, let go of what brought you here today. With your second breath, let us bring ourselves into the present moment. And with our third breath, let us be open to what's to come. If I had a bell, I would ring it. I don't do that with everybody, so I appreciate that I'm with a group of people that I don't feel inhibited to call us together in this way.
That was a really nice way. Thank you, Betsy.
Yes, it was.
So I think we should just go around the room and have each person Tracy and Jocelyn are here as to support us and to contribute their experience in learning as it's appropriate. But I thought for the 3 of you who are choosing to be here, that the first question really is to ask you what brings you here today and what you're hoping to get from this.
I have pieces, but I don't have the whole put together. And I thought it might be an opportunity to at least move more towards that.
Yeah, some months ago, I worked at updating mine. I have a set that's registered with the proper people, but it's like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And so I started updating months and months ago and then got distracted by things. And I know that there were some questions that I had at that point, and I actually haven't had time until now. I have them right in front of me. So while we're talking, I'll review if I can figure out what my questions were. But I also have this current situation with my mother, and that may become relevant for me in our discussion. She is 90, almost, she'll be 98 next month, and she's pretty healthy, but has been losing a lot of weight and not eating very much. And Betsy has talked with me about her situation and been helpful. And so she's in Southern Oregon, and so I haven't seen her in months. And I get regular reports. Anyway, that's just something else in my current life related to advanced directives. And I've pulled out her post, and it's actually posted on her refrigerator, and she's in now set up with hospice services. So,
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. How about you, Melanie?
Randy, my husband, and I have advanced care directives. We've had them for several years. We worked with a lawyer in Seattle many, many years ago on estate documents. And then we got them updated fairly recently, but I keep hearing so many things about, and including from our most recent lawyer, saying that this is a very sort of uncertain area, and what used to work doesn't necessarily work now, and what works with one place doesn't work with another place. And so
Can you give us an example?
I don't know, Randy, can you, no examples, but it just, all I was left with was, well, it would be really good to talk to somebody who knows how to say these things and what we're doing. Because in terms of particularly when you don't want to have life support, how do you describe with any foreknowledge or precision when you're just going to be ready to go, and I want them to know, let me go, but I don't know how to say that now, and I don't know, not even sure what I'm going to want, but I know I don't want to hang around a lot when I'm in pain and can't do things and can't understand what's going on. I want to go. And that's my major reason. I just want to learn everything I can so I can do the best job of, that's for myself and for whoever's taking care of me, so they don't have questions.
It's really terrific. I think all three of you sort of posed different issues and situations and questions, and all ones that hopefully we can talk about. Do all of you know Loretta Bell? If you don't, I'll introduce you. She's
I do.
Loretta and I work together
Hi,
as
Loretta.
volunteers for End of Life Washington.
I'm not sure if I know her.
She lives in Mazama, and is here as another person who's taken the training in how to support people as they complete these documents, and was interested in sitting in on the conversation. So she too has had a fair amount of experience in being with people who are dying, and she's a nurse by training and background, and ER nurse, and I think anybody can join in at any point. I think I would like to start with addressing some of the, in some ways it's the hardest, in some ways it's the easiest, the questions that Melanie raises about how to be clear about what you want in this future time that you are conceiving of, without direct and personal experience, but with thoughts and ideas. And one of the things that's true, I think, is that in the past, when we connected advanced care planning documents to our wills, they were almost universally prepared by lawyers. And lots of times, I believe the Washington recommended advance directive that came from the Bar Association was basically a checklist of what you wanted and didn't want. And it really doesn't get at all those uncertainties and ambiguities that exist in the true, real end of life situation. What the people in honoring choices, and what I would like to think I have tried to encourage people to consider as they, over my lifetime in medicine, as they develop these documents, is what is important to you about how you are going to live your life. And if there are going to be compromises, what are the things that are really important to you to maintain in order to give your life meaning and for you to want to continue to live. And if you know that, and that's not always so easy to know at this point in your life, but for me, I know that having watched my mother with dementia and having watched my grandfather with dementia, I know that I don't want to live out my life with impaired cognitive function and not have the ability to relate to the people around me and have some autonomy about my decision making and living. I also know that if I were severely compromised in my physical activity due to pain or a major traumatic injury that I was not ever going to recover from, I would not want to live out my life that way either. Now, not everybody knows that, and it's not also true that once you get in a situation like being compromised in your physical activity, people are pretty attached to living and often can adapt to those compromises and find ways to find meaning and purpose in their life. The thing about an advance directive, however, is that it only comes into play when you are not able to express your opinion yourself. So it means you're either for a period of time or permanently, you have to be unable to communicate your choices about what you want. Because that's when people turn to this document and say, okay, your power of attorney, medical power of attorney reads that you said you didn't want to live if there wasn't the expectation of you're having cognitive autonomy. Now, I think part of what you were suggesting, Melanie, was that there are times when hospitals can read that advance directive and say, well, we don't agree that there's no hope for cognitive improvement, and we're not going to go along with withdrawing care. In this state, do you have experience with that in this state? Do you have experience with people having that experience in this state? No. I think it's this state is a pretty strong one for supporting the rights of the patient to express their wishes in advance. And there's certain things that hospitals and aren't required to comply with, like they're not death with dignity law isn't carried out in all hospitals in all circumstances. There are lots of physicians that don't participate in that. But if there were an issue where your power of attorney had the sense that your wishes weren't being honored, or that their assessment, they ask for the opinion of the physician. Really, what do you expect in terms of recovery after this, whatever happened? A stroke, a car accident, a brain injury, a major heart attack that left the person on a ventilator. What is your expectation of recovery for this 70-year-old person who has been pretty healthy to this point? The fact that I'm 70 makes a difference, because if I have a major thing that whacks me, even if I've been healthy to this point, my resilience is less than when I was at 60 or when I was at 50. And physicians know this, they don't always communicate it very well. So you need a person who is going to push the healthcare providers to get clear direction about expectations. And that is not always an easy thing for a layperson to do. And they have to be willing and able to ask for a second opinion if that's needed, or, if worse came to worse, to transfer your care to somebody else who was more listening better to what your intents were as outlined in your advanced care plan. I think that for my observations of people dying in the state of Washington is that autonomy is valued, and people's intents as outlined in their advanced directives are in general honored. I think it is really helpful for people to articulate their sense of what they want, what's important to them about how they live their life, both to their care providers and to their powers of attorney before you get there. And before you get to the point that you're seriously ill or unable to communicate. So in turn, we sent you all a sample of the Honoring Choices advanced care plan, and it sort of outlines that discussion. And it does go over some checklist kinds of things, but it's pretty hard to know if you wouldn't want to be resuscitated if you have no idea what the circumstances of your stopping breathing was, right? I mean, if you had a momentary, everyone should know that the outcomes of cardiopulmonary resuscitation are not what they are on TV. That, everybody doesn't wake up when the paddles go on. The success rate of cardiopulmonary resuscitation is about if you arrest in a hospital is about 25%. And your likelihood of surviving a year after a cardiac arrest is quite small. So if you get to the point where your heart stops and you stop breathing, things don't look great. But say it happened because you were in an accident and you have fluid around your lung, and that's something that could be fixed and that you might recover from nicely. So you don't have the option of making that decision in the moment of the crisis, but someone will have the option of making that decision, unless you're carrying around your little slip that says, do
not resuscitate.
DNR order, your pulse form. But if you have that stuck to your dashboard, maybe maybe it would be honored. But you need in order for an ambulance service not to attempt resuscitation, they need a physician's order. So they need something from a physician that says we cannot carry out what we are required to do in a life-saving situation. And so you would need that pulse form with you. So you're taken to the hospital, and then you get the discussion with your care providers and so on about what your prognosis is and what your likelihood of recovery is.
Betsy,
Yes.
I have been reading, and I can't tell you where it is, but I mean, I know there are a lot of, what they're talking about now is that Catholic hospitals, Catholic organizations, public organizations are buying up a bunch of hospitals, and, you know, they may or may not honor any of this stuff. And then in those articles there were, you know, and I know that the ACLU and others are, you know, taking this up. I don't know what the status is in Washington. I just know that a whole lot of hospitals, the reason for this article was that I think the Virginia Mason or some others just got purchased by the Catholic organization. And then they went on to say things like, yeah, you should carry your health director with you. I mean, it should be with you at all times in case you're in an accident. And so I have a couple of questions. I mean, do you really think we need to carry our healthcare directives with us? Should I stick that in my purse or what? And then the other thing is, do you know how do you say, I want to, or have your caregiver say, your representative say, I want to go to a hospital that's going to honor her, you know, Melanie's wish to, you know, let her go if it's appropriate. And, you know, we don't want to be in a hospital that is going to say, nope, we don't do that.
You know, that's a really important point. I think at this point in this state, with the merger of Virginia Mason and the Franciscan system, it's something like, it's over 50% of hospitals are faith-based hospitals in the state of Washington. That's huge. The Pope doesn't have a problem with advanced directives, and that's important to know. It appears, and my experience, I don't have a lot of experience with Providence and Spokane. The two places that we go to for emergencies from here are Wenatchee and Spokane. The majority, there are several hospitals in Spokane, but I can't tell you whether any are not faith-based. I think the majority are. Does anybody know the answer to that question? I know that Providence does honor advanced, or my experience has been that Providence will honor advanced directives. Certainly Wenatchee will honor advanced directives. It really depends more on the individual practitioner